Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's President Droupadi Murmu embarks on a landmark visit to African nations, Algeria, Mauritania and Malawi. 40 nations contributing to UN Lebanon peacekeeping force condemn attacks. UNIFIL accuses Israeli military of deliberately firing on its positions. And US Vice President Kamala Harris puts pressure on Donald Trump over medical records, criticizes Trump's lack of transparency. All right, news in detail now. India's President Droupadi Murmu embarks on a state visit to 3 African countries, namely Algeria, Mauritania and Malawi on October 13th to October 19th. The visit comes a year after the African Union was made a permanent member of the G20 during India's presidency. This will be the first ever visit by an Indian head of state to the 3 African nations. President Murmu will begin her 3-nation visit with Algeria from October 13th to 15th. At the invitation of President of People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. The President will address the India-Algeria Economic Forum and Sidi Abdallah Science and Technology Pole University. She will also inaugurate the India Corner at the Hama Garden at Jardin des. And the visit is expected to further enhance bilateral ties between the 2 countries. And on the second leg of her visit, President Murmu will visit Mauritania on 16th October. The visit is taking place at a crucial juncture when Mauritania holds the presidency of the African Union. During the visit, President Murmu will hold talks with her Mauritian counterpart, Mohammed Ould Sheikh El Ghazouani. The visit will provide further impetus to India-Mauritania bilateral relations. And from Mauritania, at the invitation of President of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, President Murmu will visit Malawi from October 17th to 19th. During the visit, President Murmu will hold bilateral meetings with Malawi's leadership, interact with key trade and industry leaders and the Indian diaspora. She will visit places of cultural and historical significance, and the visit will reaffirm India's strong commitment to further strengthen our existing friendly and cordial relations with Malawi. And the state visit by President Murmu to Algeria, Mauritania and Malawi is reflective of India's deep desire to strengthen its partnership with countries in Africa. Now, 40 nations that contribute to the UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon on Saturday said that they strongly condemn recent attacks on the peacekeepers. The Polish UN mission, in a social media post, said that such actions must stop immediately and should be adequately investigated. The joint statement was signed by nations including leading contributors India, Indonesia and Italy. Signatories also include Ghana, Nepal, Malaysia, Spain, France and China, all countries that have contributed several hundred troops to the force. At least 5 peacekeepers have been wounded in recent days as Israel takes its fight against Hezbollah into southern Lebanon. The peacekeeping mission, UNIFIL, has accused the Israeli military of deliberately firing on its positions. According to the statement, the 40 contributing countries reaffirmed their full support for UNIFIL's mission and activities, whose principal aim is to bring stabilization and lasting peace in South Lebanon as well as in the Middle East. The countries urged the parties of the conflict to respect UNIFIL's presence, which entails the obligation to guarantee the safety and security of its personnel at all times. UNIFIL, which involves about 9,500 troops of some 50 nationalities, is tasked with monitoring a ceasefire that ended a 33-day war in 2006 between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah on Sunday said it was fighting Israeli forces trying to infiltrate Ramya village in southern Lebanon as a 3rd UN peacekeeper was wounded in Israel's escalating conflict with the Iran-backed Lebanese group. Israeli strikes have shook the peacekeepers' main base in southern Lebanon, prompting UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Western countries to condemn the attacks. The UNIFIL force called it a serious development and said the security of UN personnel and property must be guaranteed. France summoned Israel's ambassador and issued a statement with Italy and Spain calling such attacks unjustifiable. US President Joe Biden said he was asking Israel not to hit the UNIFIL forces. Russia said it was outraged and demanded Israel refrain from hostile actions against peacekeepers. As West Asia remains on edge, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, in a call with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, expressed deep concern about reports that Israeli forces that fired on U.S. peacekeeping positions in Lebanon in recent days and urged Israel to ensure safety for them and the Lebanese military. Austin also reinforced the need to pivot from military operations in Lebanon to a diplomatic pathway as soon as feasible. Meanwhile, Israel ordered more evacuations and targeted a new location in northern Lebanon on Saturday. The Israeli military said Hezbollah had fired nearly 320 projectiles from Lebanon into Israel on Saturday. Israel's military ordered residents of 23 southern Lebanese villages to evacuate to areas north of the Awali River, which flows from the western Bekaa Valley into the Mediterranean. It declared areas around some towns in North Israel close to the public. The Israeli military said evacuations were necessary for the safety of residents due to increased Hezbollah activities, claiming the group is using sites to conceal weapons and launch attacks on Israel, while Hezbollah denied concealing weapons among civilians. And hundreds of Palestinians residing in northern Gaza were seen fleeing the north on Saturday. Israel has been pursuing an offensive in recent days, sending its troops into Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps, and the nearby towns of Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia. Now, families of Israeli hostages held by Hamas since October 7 gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday night after Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, drew to a close. Around 1,000 protesters demanded the government secure the release of their loved ones after nightfall. Yom Kippur is the day of atonement when Jews seek forgiveness by fasting and praying. The conflict began after a Hamas-led terrorist attack on October 7 on southern Israeli communities in which 1,200 people were killed and about 250 were taken hostage. 101 still remaining as hostages.
It's important every day. We are standing here every day and we don't miss a single day, even if it's Yom Kippur. The hostages are still there. There's no break for them. It's not like it's holiday, so the conditions are different. Their situation is the same every day, and for us, the situation is the same. Every day we will fight until we get everyone back.
Many people in our government and our Prime Minister that there's many things that they need to ask for forgiveness about, and the number one thing is abandoning the hostages.
Moving on, U.S. Vice President and Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris has said that her Republican rival Donald Trump is showing a lack of transparency by not releasing health records. Earlier, Harris released a letter from a doctor on Saturday that pronounced her in good health and fit for high office. The Harris campaign is eager to highlight the former president's age since he became the oldest candidate in the race. President Joe Biden stepped aside as the Democratic standard bearer following a poor debate performance against Trump.
So today I released my medical records, as has, I believe, every candidate for president of the United States except Donald Trump in this election cycle. And it's just a further example of his lack of transparency, that on top of his unwillingness to debate again, his unwillingness to do an interview with 60 Minutes, which again is part of the norm of what anyone running for president of the United States does. And I think that it's obvious that his team, at least, does not want the American people to see everything about who he is.
And U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris returned to North Carolina on Saturday evening to help with hurricane relief efforts before campaigning in Greenville on Sunday. Harris arrived in Raleigh on Saturday evening and met with the local black leaders. Then she joined the supply line at a local restaurant, helping pack boxes of supplies for victims of Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina. This marks Harris' second visit to the state following the hurricane, and last week she visited the western region to assess the damage. Now, Republican candidate Donald Trump also rallied supporters in Coachella, California on Saturday. Although Trump is not expected to win California, a state known to be solidly blue or Democratic, still thousands of supporters showed up in the sweltering heat to support the former president. He criticized Vice President Kamala Harris' home state, bringing up the lack of affordability and struggles with homelessness.
Kamala Harris and the radical Democrats have destroyed this state. California's really, it's a paradise lost, but we're going to bring it back. Don't worry about it. We're bringing it back. It'll happen fast. We'll stop the murderers from coming in, the drug dealers, everybody coming into California, coming into our country. Today, California has the highest inflation, the highest taxes, the highest gas prices, the highest cost of living, the most regulations, the most expensive utilities, the most homelessness, the most crime, the most decay, and the most illegal aliens. Other than that, I think you're doing quite well, actually.
Immigration and border security were also major highlights in Trump's speech.
Of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. And we will call it Operation Aurora. That's what we're going to, in honor of the people that have suffered in Aurora at the hands of this horrible gang, Operation Aurora. And if they come back into our country after we're going to throw them out so far you wouldn't believe it. But if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. 10 years. And if that doesn't work, it'll be 20 years. And if that doesn't work, I guess it's going to be the death penalty, right? The death penalty. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or law enforcement officer. Death penalty. It's time.
Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Torrential rains and severe weather in Brazil claimed lives of 7 people in 4 different cities, including Sao Paulo. Civil defense and firefighter squads were deployed to attend to incidents such as fallen trees and collapsed walls. In Russia, a passenger and cargo aircraft crash-landed in the Yakutia region of Siberia, killing 1 on Sunday. The plane was carrying 3 crew and 2 passengers. The preliminary information indicates a loss of engine thrust forced the emergency landing. Now, Wuishan National Park has identified 17 new insect species, enhancing the understanding of this vital biodiversity hotspot. Wuishan National Park in East China is known for its comprehensive forest ecosystem, representative of the mid-subtropical zone, is often termed the world of insects. An 800-year-old driftwood tree in Vietnam's north-central coastal region, Ha Tin, has been recognized as a Vietnamese heritage tree. This ancient tree is a precious natural heritage and the pride of many generations of local people. Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Speaker of India's lower house of Parliament Om Birla to lead a delegation to Interparliamentary Union Assembly in Switzerland. And Prime Minister Gati Shakti National Master Plan completes 3 years.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. The 149th Interparliamentary Union Assembly will take place in Geneva, Switzerland from 13th to 17th October, gathering parliamentarians from across the globe. Key discussions will focus on how emerging technologies, particularly AI, can be used for peace and sustainability. A major outcome is expected to be the adoption of a new charter on the ethics of science and technology, guiding decision-making in the use of technology. The Assembly will include meetings of women and young parliamentarians and the Committee on Human Rights of Parliamentarians. Speaker of India's lower house of Parliament, Om Birla, will lead a parliamentary delegation to the Interparliamentary Union Assembly. And PMGTI Shakti National Master Plan for Multimodal Connectivity completes 3 years on Sunday. Launched on October 13th in the year 2021, the scheme achieved significant milestones in transforming the country's infrastructure landscape. Our report.
PMGTI Shakti has integrated 44 central ministries and 36 states and union territories with more than 1600 data layers, making it a crucial tool for planning and executing infrastructure projects. The platform has significantly improved interministerial coordination and streamlined project execution. Impacting social sector ministries, PMGTI Shakti enabled better infrastructure planning in essential areas such as primary healthcare, education, postal services and travel development, ensuring that even remote and underserved areas are part of India's infrastructure growth story. While in a unified approach under PMGTI Shakti National Master Plan, platform states have streamlined their capital investment for accelerating infrastructure development. The scheme, launched under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, elevated India's rank by 6 places from 44 to 38 in World Bank's Logistic Performance Index Report 2023. The PMGTI Shakti's data-driven approach is powered by GIS-based tools and a real-time monitoring system that enables faster and more informed decision-making. Under PMGTI Shakti National Master Plan, Indian Railways has surveyed over 49,983 km length for development of multimodal connectivity infrastructure in various economic zones. The platform also ensures that projects are aligned with national priorities and completed on time. This integration is key to meeting India's net zero by 2070 commitments. Over 1,000 officials are trained under the scheme for training and capacity building purposes. As India moves forward, the PMGTI Shakti is expected to continuously evolve to keep playing a pivotal role in expanding multimodal infrastructure, developing smart cities, and enhancing the country's industrial capabilities through industrial corridors and mega investment regions. Sharing of non-sensitive and shareable data with the non-government users is also being considered. PMGTI Shakti District Master Plan portal is also being developed with technical support of BISAC-N or Bhaskaracharya National Institute for Space Applications and Geoinformatics for collaborative planning at the district level by state and district authorities. Taking PMGS to international level, diplomatic engagements are underway with countries in the neighborhood and other developing countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, Senegal and Gambia. Bureau Report, DD India.
And on completion of 3 years of PMGTI Shakti National Master Plan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the scheme has emerged as a transformative initiative aimed at revolutionizing India's infrastructure. In a post on social media platform X, PM Modi said, and I quote him, PMGTI Shakti National Master Plan has emerged as a transformative initiative aimed at revolutionizing India's infrastructure. It has significantly enhanced multimodal connectivity, driving faster and more efficient development across sectors. The seamless integration of various stakeholders has led to boosting logistics, reducing delays and creating new opportunities for several people. Unquote. And on Sunday, October 13th, the world marks International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. This year's theme focuses on empowering the next generation for a resilient future. With disasters becoming more frequent, global cooperation and local strategies are crucial to reducing risk and building a safer, sustainable world for all. DD India correspondent Taposh Bhattacharya with more details.
A rapidly warming planet poses an urgent threat to life on Earth. On October 13th, the world observes International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, a reminder for nations to assess their vulnerabilities and build resilient strategies. This year, the focus is on empowering the next generation to ensure a safer, more resilient future. Disasters often transcend borders, demanding a global response.
The Sendai Framework,
adopted by the UN, provides a more comprehensive roadmap for reducing disaster risk.
Man-made and natural hazards.
In recent years, India has faced several natural calamities, from the Gujarat cyclone to the Kerala floods. But through advancement in science and technology, the country has significantly minimized their impact.
Disaster-resilient infrastructure saves lives and livelihoods and ensures continuity of critical infrastructure services like power, transport, health, and communications. CDRI is a coalition of 40 countries and 7 international organizations that have come together to advance the resilience of new and existing infrastructure. The coalition focuses on building capacity with knowledge sharing, building evidence with technical studies and resilience programs, and undertaking global advocacy for promoting disaster-resilient infrastructure.
India's launch of the Infrastructure for Resilient Island States at COP26 further strengthens its commitment to safeguarding vulnerable regions. India's Prime Minister laid out a 10-point agenda on disaster risk reduction, advocating for community preparedness, technological innovations, and global cooperations. As we move forward, empowering the next generation remains essential in creating a resilient future for all. With camera person Anand, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Sports update now. Australia women will take on India women in the ICC Women's T20 World Cup at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium on Sunday. India need to register not only a win but also has to keep their net run rate in check, as New Zealand is the third team that is searching for a semi-final berth in the tournament. A blockbuster game on the cards.
India will aim to secure another net run rate boosting win when they face an injury-hit Australia in a must-win Women's T20 World Cup clash on Sunday in Sharjah. Australia, with 6 points from 3 matches and a strong net run rate of plus 2.786, are almost assured of a semi-final spot. Meanwhile, India, New Zealand and Pakistan are battling for the remaining spot. Australia's victory over Pakistan on Friday came with a cost. Skipper Alyssa Haley suffered an acute foot injury, while fast bowler Tyler Vlamnik dislocated her shoulder. Both are likely to miss crucial game on Sunday. India's 82-run win over Sri Lanka, their biggest in tournament history, not only boosted their net run rate but also lifted them to second place in Group A. India now sit on 4 points behind undefeated Australia. To keep their knockout hopes alive, India must win, as New Zealand, with 1 game in hand, can also reach 6 points. If New Zealand win their remaining games, net run rate will decide the semi-final spots. India currently has a plus 0.567 net run rate, while New Zealand lags behind at minus 0.050. If Pakistan beat New Zealand and India lose to Australia, all 3 teams could end up on 4 points, making net run rate crucial again. Sports Desk, DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.